Hey guys, Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and this video is about Grand Theft Auto 5, specifically the multiplayer and why it doesn't work well. I share a certain kinship with my IT brethren, but these guys kind of missed it. And if you try to play Grand Theft Auto 5 online right now, this is what it looks like. So, let's talk. Alright, first, you'll notice this isn't Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5 doesn't work in multiplayer right now. So I grabbed a game that does work. It's Left4Dead 4. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's on Steam right now, and it's just slightly more than free, because that's what happens to Steam games as they get older. But let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 and why their multiplayer had the troubles that it did. When I started my research into this, I was expecting to see that it was just more traffic than they anticipated. The problem was as simple as that. I know in terms of sales numbers, they were hoping to break $1 billion by March. If you don't know, the game came out in late September or mid-September, and they were hoping that sometime between September and March, they were able to get $1 billion in sales. It turned out they hit $1 billion in sales in 3 days. Amazingly successful, huge numbers, fantastic. But that kind of success breeds problems, the kind of problems we're seeing now. And I feel like the gaming world is kind of abuzz at how this is one of the worst online launches in the history of gaming. You know, there have been some other really bad ones. I think World at Warcraft launched with some big problems. I think SimCity 5 launched with some big online problems. But this one is so big. Everybody was so excited about this multiplayer release that that I feel like it's a way bigger deal than when SimCity doesn't work. You know, when the game that everybody wants to see is broken, then you have a bigger problem than, you know, SimCity 5, which I guess knew about and stuff, but it didn't affect me because I didn't even buy that game. This game, I have. This game, everybody has. This game did $1 billion in sales in 3 days. So when they mess it up, it's a bigger story. So, issue number one was simply scalability. They had more customers than they expected to have. But you ask yourself, all right, so what if sales were what I'll call on target? You know, that target being a lower number than the actual number of sales. Would it have been okay? No. No, it still would have been messed up because there are problems with the multiplayer that are related to bugs and glitches that that aren't just a matter of having too many people playing at one time. So, for example, right, there's a fix for getting past the first tutorial race. If you can somehow manage to get in the game, it still doesn't work. There's a tutorial race that has problems. And the fix to it is you delete the title update, you re-download the title update, you swap your character to another character, you delete the character that was unable to first get into the tutorial, and then create a new character, and then you go into the solo mode, and that can help with completion of the tutorial. It works for some people, it doesn't work for other people, but that's just bullshit right there. You know, like, that's a workaround to buggy code. And you know, while there are a lot of other things, right? If you see Rockstar cloud servers are unavailable, failed to host online session, timed out for matchmaking, jobs failing to load, that's just a matter of not having enough capacity for, you know, all the customers that are coming to it. But some of the other things, you know, it's just bugs. It's just buggy. And this thing about not being able to do the tutorial race and having to delete your characters to give it another try, that's not a scalability issue. It's an issue with bad code. There are 2 teams that wrote Grand Theft Auto. One team wrote the single player thing, the thing that you've been playing for the last couple of weeks. And the other team wrote the online multiplayer. That team that wrote the online multiplayer, it feels like they're the B team right now. They're the team that's not succeeding. They're just not getting it done like, you know, like the team that wrote the single player mode. Maybe their task is harder. I'll acknowledge that, but just the same, you know, they didn't get their task complete. Because I've spent a lot of time working in IT, I like, by nature, I kind of just want to say, well, you know, this is a hard job. You know, cut them some slack. You know, it's just not okay. But the more I think about it, the less forgiving I become. You know, have I ever had releases this bad? No, never in my entire life. Maybe this is a bigger task than I've taken on, but I've never had anything that went this poorly in my professional career. You know, allow me to sidetrack for a moment here. I run a Minecraft server. I know some of you are rolling your eyes. I run a Minecraft server. And I come from a corporate IT environment. In the corporate IT environment, like the code I write would stay up for months, you know, maybe restart it every quarter, maybe like, you know, for stuff to go 10 months without having any problem would be normal and natural. You know, our uptime wasn't measured in nines. You know, I tried to measure my uptime in zeros, you know, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 100% uptime, right? Never go down. But, you know, here in the gaming world, people like restart their stuff 4 times a day. People are just, you know, like constantly doing work, and it's a whole different expectation of availability that like in the corporate world, people expect their stuff to just be freaking flawless all the time. In the gaming world, people just are like, yeah, you know, of course this thing's going to release and not work for the first couple days. What? Really? They're like, not work for days? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. But, you know, sure enough, are you even surprised by this? I know we called it many times in my live streams, and I think in Painkiller already we talked about it too. We knew this stuff wasn't going to work, and I wasn't the least bit surprised when it did. But back on topic, aside from gaming just being naturally unreliable, because that's the nature of it, they didn't do their load testing properly, right? A lot of these problems that they have are all about the load testing. Long matchmaking load screens, ending up at a free roam session with no job markers on the page because of a cloud outage, you know, cloud servers unavailable. The messages that you're seeing are straight up a result of not testing the servers under the kind of load that the customers bring. And it's not you know, a too big of an ask to expect them to, like, you know, develop a way to load test the system before it goes live, right? That's typical outside the gaming world, that people have this kind of, you know, systems in place. We would have these what we called scenarios, and like, this is what we expect a user to do. They'll go here, they'll go here, they'll go here, they'll do this, they'll do that. And then we would unleash thousands or millions of these scenarios on the system at the same time and see how it reacted when we did that, you know. And you could totally see, like, fine. And then if you picture like almost like a stock chart, it would just jump straight up. Boom. You know, all of a sudden, this is where your system fails. This is where your system falls down. Identify why it did that and you know, then address it. They didn't do that. You know, they didn't seem to do that. They didn't seem to load test this under the kinds of loads that we're seeing. Otherwise, they would have had knowledge of what problems they needed to solve, and they don't. So part of the problem is the bugs. Part of the problem is a lack of planning. The problem is probably not a lack of money. It's easy enough to ramp up more resources. They just don't know how to do it better, and they need some time to figure out. It is possible. You know, this game's going to start working well, just like every other game starts working well eventually. But they didn't get it right out of the gate, and they didn't get it right out of the gate because they didn't work properly before the game was released. They didn't test it. That's how IT goes. I hope you enjoyed the video.